I am doing Martin Luther King Jr. to give you a little bit of information on him. Martin Luther King Jr. was the middle child of Michael King Sr. and Alberta Williams King, who lived in rural Georgia. King's grandfather, A.B. Williams, was a rural minister for years, and then moved to Atlanta in 1893. He was born January 15, 1929, but was born Michael Luther King Jr., but later his father changed his name to Martin. He was inspired by the Protestant reformer Martin Luther because of his strong faith in God's word made religious freedom possible instead of what he believed in. Martin's grandfather became the family's long history as pastors of the Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta. Young Martin had an older sister, Willie Christine, and a younger brother, Alfred Daniel Williams King. Martin attended segregated public schools in Georgia, and because of his brilliance, graduated from high school at the age of 15. He received a BA degree in 1948 from Morehouse College, a distinguished black college in Atlanta, from which both his grandfather and father had graduated. Martin wanted to live his life for God and preach his word. After 3 years of theological study at Crozer Theological Seminary in Pennsylvania, where he was elected president of a predominantly white senior class, he was rewarded a BD in 1951. He again did very well and won a fellowship to Boston University to pursue graduate studies. Doing the work on his doctorate, Martin Luther King Jr. met Coretta Scott, an aspiring singer studying music at the New England Conservatory School in Boston. They were married in June 1953 and had 4 children, Yolanda, Martin Luther King III, Dexter Scott, and Bernice. In 1954, while still working on his dissertation, King became the pastor of Dexter Avenue Baptist Church of Montgomery, Alabama. He completed his PhD and was rewarded his degree in 1955. King was only 25 years old. Because of Rosa Parks' refusal to give up her seat and her arrest afterwards, in December 1955, King was asked to lead the first Negro nonviolent demonstration in U.S. history, the bus boycott. This boycott in Montgomery, Alabama lasted 382 days. On December 21st, 1956, the Supreme Court of the United States declared the laws requiring segregation on buses to be unconstitutional. Black and whites would ride buses as equals. During these days of boycotts, King was arrested, his home was bombed, he was subjected to personal abuse, but he remained focused, strengthened by his faith toward God. At the age of 35, Martin Luther King Jr. was the youngest man to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. On August 28, 1963, King led the historic march to Washington, D.C., which drew more than 200,000 people. It was here that King made his famous I Have a Dream speech, emphasizing his belief that someday all men could be brothers. He specifically emphasized equality between all men because of the rumors of him being a communist and racist. Martin believed that God created and loved all men the same. But not by 1968, the years of demonstration and confrontations were beginning to wear on Martin Luther. He was tired of marches, going to jail, and living under the constant threat of death. He was arrested about 20 times and assaulted at least 4 times. He was becoming discouraged with the slow progress of civil rights in America. He was also being criticized by other African American leaders because of his nonviolence methods, especially after Bloody Sunday, when many blacks were injured. Plans are on the works for another march in Washington to revive his movement and bring attention to a wider range of issues. In the spring of 1968, a labor strike by Memphis sanitation workers drew King to speak there. On April 3rd, on what proved to be an eerily prophetic speech, he told supporters, "I see the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land." The next day, while standing on a balcony outside his room at the Lorraine Motel, Martin Luther King Jr. was shot and killed by a sniper named James O'Ray. He was eventually arrested. The killing sparked riots and demonstrations in more than 100 cities across the country. Martin Luther King Jr.'s life had a tremendous impact on race relations in the United States. Years after his death, he is still the most widely known African-American leader of his era. His life and work have been honored with national holidays, schools, and public buildings named after him, and a memorial in Independence Mall in Washington, D.C. He says this one quote, "I have a dream that my children will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." Today, this dream is becoming more a reality. I am grateful for the work of God through Martin Luther King Jr., and to know that I have the ability to be judged by how I act and not by my race. I am thankful for God how